Okay, so in this video we are going to create an endpoint to fetch all of the products and also to fetch a single product. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And just below this slash the main route, I'm just going to create another route called app.get. So this will be a get request to slash API slash products. Okay, and once we hit this API, we are gonna send the request, we are gonna send the response. Okay, so let's accept the parameters request and response. Okay, so once we make a once we hit this endpoint, this function will be running, and we are going to send a response. Okay, rest dot send. Okay, so for now we need to send the particular products, okay, that we do not have in our server. So let's go ahead and copy it from the client that we have in our source directory. So I'm just going to copy this. Okay, and go to a server and then just paste it. Okay, so in this data directory we have this products.js. Okay, just these are the 6 products that we created in the earlier video. Okay, so I'm just going to import that. Okay, so import so we have this products over here, and we want to send this in the form of JSON. Okay, as I told you, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and we can easily send and accept responses using JSON. Okay, so rest.json, and I am gonna send the products. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now if we hit this endpoint, we should be getting all of the products. So let's have a look at localhost 5000. So let's start our server. So npm run dev. Okay, so I need to check into the right directory. So I keep doing this mistake all the time, so make sure you don't. Okay, so again run the same command. Okay, so there seems like there should be a problem. Okay, so let's have a look. So since we are using ES modules that we configured in our package.json to be of type module, we need to also add the extension of .js. Okay, so this was the problem. So let's save and just have a look. Okay, yeah, so everything is working fine right now, and let's go to localhost 5000 where our server is running, and let's go to slash API slash products. Let's see if we get all of the products that we have. Okay, and yeah, there we go, we have all of the 6 products that we are getting from this products.js. Okay, so what we will do right now is, now we want to like specifically find one product based on the particular URL. Like let's say if I type in slash products slash 1, I need to get the product based on the ID. So now if I do, it doesn't work. Okay, so we need to create a particular endpoint for that. So let's do that. Okay, so let's create another route. Okay, called app.get. Okay, it's similar to the previous one that we created, slash API slash products, and we need to get the dynamic value for that. Okay, so I'm using colon ID. Okay, so this will be the ID of the particular product. Okay, so that will be if it has a colon in front of this, so this will be treated as a like a parameter. Okay, so that we can just grab it using this request object that we have. Okay, and after this we're gonna run a callback called request response, and here we are just gonna first instead of sending a response initially, we just gonna find the product based on this particular ID that we type. Okay, so every request object has a property of params. Okay, I'm just gonna console.log. Okay, for now I'll just show you what do we have in the request object. Okay, so if I save that and if I hit this route again, okay, of course we won't get anything. Now if you have a look at the console, we have a very big object of this request. Okay, in specific we have something called as reg.params. Okay, so which will actually have all the parameters with if there is any. Okay, if I type in reg.params, okay, and then hit the endpoint again. And if you have a look at your terminal, you can just see we have this id of 1, okay, so which we actually passed. Now if I type in, let's say, anything, okay, so this can be a number, string, or anything, okay. I just type in some gibberish, so you can just see we get that particular value. So we can just find based on this particular value, and we can just loop through our products and just find that particular product, okay. So for that, I'm just going to create a variable of product, okay, and this will be products, okay, that we initially imported. Dot find, we have a find method on arrays, that so that for every product, okay, where the product dot id, okay, that this has an id product, right? So this id which will match this id which is coming from the request object, okay. So rec dot params dot id, okay. So this has an id field, okay. So whatever name you give here, that needs to be passed on here. So if you have a look at the product, okay, so if I type in api slash product slash 1 with an id of 1, so you can just see the product, basically the description, the, okay, based on that particular id, okay. So that's done, and we just need to send the response, okay. So we can just send, say, res.json, okay, and then send in the product. Now if we have a look, okay, it's not this. So we can just query based on the particular value or the id of the product. If I type in api slash product slash any number of your choice, it will fetch that particular product with the id of whichever you type, okay. So now that's done. Now let's go to our front end, and let's fetch the products such that we are no longer getting from this this folder that we previously configured, that the static file, okay. So we need to make sure that we are getting from the backend, okay, that is running on port 5000, okay. So for that, we need to create a proxy, okay. So proxy is basically the common endpoint, okay, where every kind of request actually will be made, okay. So we can just go to our config.js, and if you're using create react app, that will be by default, that will be by default 3000. You can just go to the like package.json, you can just create a proxy over there. So we in vtab, we just need to like specifically configure using this v.config.js, okay. So already that so this already previously we have done this server which should be running on port 3000, okay. Now another thing which I can do is, so I can add another property called proxy, okay, and set this to an object where the port, anything that starts with slash api, okay. So that will be run on this particular thing, okay. So that will be run on port 5000, okay. So that's how it is, okay. So sorry, it should be localhost 5000. So we http:// local host colon 5000, okay. That's where our backend server is running. And the slash api is like a convention, okay, where whenever we are creating an api, and also we have something like slash v1, which we are creating various other versions of our apis. So for now, I'm just going to stick with the slash api slash product, so that whenever we see this, we get to know that it's an api, okay. So that's what we are configured here, okay. So whichever url which starts with slash api should be taken to localhost 5000 instead of 3000, okay. So that's done. Now let's go to our home screen, okay. And here we are basically fetching products from the static file that we previously had, okay. So I am going to get rid of this, and instead I'm going to fetch the products from the backend, okay. So for that, I am going to import another hook from react, that is uh, use state use effect, and also use state, Okay, so we will create a local state over here within this component called let's say const products, and this is a value in order to mutate the particular variable, so that is set products. Okay, so this is the convention. You can just name this anything, so set products. Okay, and set it to use state. Okay, and initial value I'm going to give it as an empty array. Okay, so that later we will be filling in whatever we get from the response from the backend. Okay, so for that I'm going to run a use effect hook. So use effect is basically run whenever like any kind of dependency change, or whenever a page is particulars loaded. Okay, so let's say we are loading the home screen, so this function, that is use effect, that will be run. Okay, so this is basically used to make any kind of request to the backend, so such that if we land on a particular page, it should instantly make that request. Okay, so use effect, which will actually accept a function. Okay, and also it has another parameter that is of an array of dependencies. So initially we are going to set this empty, so if there is any we can just put in any value, such that if that particular value changes, then this particular function will be run again. Okay, so for now I'm just going to leave this empty, which means that whenever this home screen is mounted on our page, so this function will be run. Okay, so to fetch any kind of request from the backend, or to make any request, we have a very popular package in React that is called Axios. Not in React, but in general. Okay, so we can just go ahead and install that. So we can just run our we can just stop our running server, and we can just go to our client directory. Okay, cd client, and there we can install the following package, that is npm install Axios. Okay, just like that. So this makes things very easier in order to configure any kind of headers or anything in a very easy way. Instead of using the fetch, you can just use Axios, and it has various other features like interceptors, which actually will not be using in this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and use that. And first of all, let's bring in Axios itself. So import Axios from Axios, like that. And in order to make a request, I need to make this function asynchronous. Okay, so I cannot make this directly asynchronous, so I just need to call a function, let's say fetch products. Okay, and here I'm going to create the function itself. Okay, const fetch products, and this will be an asynchronous function. Okay, so we need to write async, and here will be like making a request to the backend. So let's receive the data. Okay, so actually this can be named anything, so let me just call it response and just show you what do we actually get. Okay, so await Axios. So this is the package that we actually installed. So this is an asynchronous function because because it takes time for it to fetch such kind of products. So we need to make this an asynchronous function, so it doesn't block any of our code. Okay, so /API /products. So we don't have to write local host something like we already created a proxy for that. So API /products. Okay, and let's have a look at what response do we get. Okay, so I'm going to log it to the console of response. Okay, so now let's have a look. So let me first turn on the server. Okay, so you can just see right now we don't have anything because I deleted all of those products that we had. So if you have a look at the console, Okay, so you can open up the developer tools, and we have an error actually. Okay, so basically it's making a request. Okay, so this is basically called CORS issue. Okay, so whenever you're making a request to a particular route which is not the same as this route, so we need to like configure a CORS for that particular domain or the origin. Okay, so so CORS is nothing but like a resource policy. Okay, so we just need to like configure that in our backend. So let's go to server.js. Okay, and install a package that is CORS. Okay, so let the front end be running. I'm going to open another terminal. Okay, so make sure in the server directory and just install the package called CORS. Okay, so that was quick. So we just need to right now configure that. So let's close this and just bring in that particular package. So import CORS from CORS, and we can just initialize. Let's see. Yeah, right below this app thing. Okay, so I am just going to just run CORS. Okay, and just run. So basically this is a middleware. Okay, so I just need to use it inside this app. Okay, so app.use. Okay, just like that, and later we can just configure things like which is restricted to that particular domain, but for now I'm just going to leave it empty. Okay, so anything that starts with app.use, we just need to understand that this is a middleware. Okay, so with that done, okay, let's first restart our server. Okay, okay, first of all it's not at all running, so I'm just going to run it. Okay, so that's running. So we have our front end at localhost 3000 and our backend running at localhost 5000. Okay, so let's refresh and let's see what do we get in response. Okay, still we have this issue. Let's see what it. So actually I made a mistake, I guess. Here actually I think I made a mistake that I actually need to write this proxy property inside this server object. Okay, so like that. So maybe that was the reason it wasn't working. And yeah, so now everything is working fine, and yeah, there we have all the information. So this is the response that we get from hitting this URL. Okay, hitting this endpoint /api/products. And if we have a look at, you can just see we have this object called data where we are getting all of the different products, and it has other properties as well, like headers, which we can actually configure when we want to send any data for the backend, by if you want to make any kind of post request or anything. And yeah, for now let's pull in the data. I'm just going to destructure. Okay, data, and instead of console logging, I'll just set the products. Okay, to this particular value. Set products is a function which will actually take in a particular value, so that is data. Okay, so once that's done, so let's have a look. And yeah, there we go, we have all of these products which are no longer fetched from our static file. Okay, but these are all coming from the backend. Okay, so if I just for example turn off my backend, okay, and then have a look, we no longer get those products. We basically get an error saying that this basically you don't even get any response. Okay, so it says it gives you a 404 error or an internal server error. Okay, so let's turn back the server again. Okay, and now if I just click on any product, okay, so this is basically coming from the static content, okay, that we basically have. Okay, so that needs to be fixed. Okay, so let's go to our product screen, and again let's get rid of this static content that we are getting, and instead let's import Axios. Okay, and now we are just basically we are just looping through all of these products that we statically have. We just need to find based on that particular route that we previously created. Okay, this slash API slash products and this particular value. Okay, so let's do that. So again I'm going to create a state. Okay, so let's bring in use state, and let's create a state for our particular products. So const product, okay, singular, set product. Okay, so from use state. Okay, so again for the particular product I am going to set it as an empty object, because one particular product has various other properties, like for example, if I just show you the products.js, so this is in the form of an object, so we need to set the initial value to an object. Okay, so if not it will throw an error. So now we just need to make a request to the backend. Again we are going to use the use effect hook, use effect. So again whenever we this product screen is mounted on our UI, so this particular function will be run. Okay, so okay, and for this I'm going to give a dependency of this ID. Okay, whenever this particular ID changes, so this use effect hook will be run. Okay, again let's create a function which is asynchronous. So fetch product. Okay, and I'm going to create that function right now. Fetch product, which is an asynchronous function, which means that it returns a promise. Okay, and again we already have seen the response, so I'm directly going to destructure the data. Okay, which is coming from this particular endpoint. Okay, Axios.get, and for this I'm going to write in a template string so that I can put this value dynamically. Okay, slash API slash products. Okay, slash, and I'm going to put in the particular value, so $sign curly brackets, pass in the ID. Okay, and let's have a look at the data. Okay, console.log data, and it says there's some error. Okay, let's have a look. So actually it's not an error. Actually, since we removed the products.js file, right? So that's why it's complaining that this file doesn't exist or some properties in it. Okay, so for that let's just have a look at the console. Okay, for that I just need to get rid of this error. Okay, so for that I'm just going to uh, what can I do? You know what, we already know what it actually returns, so in order to avoid all that headache, I'm just going to directly set the product, okay, to this particular data value that we are getting. Okay, so now let's have a look. Okay, again this is the same error. So I don't know what is the issue. So it says can't read properties of undefined reading dot to fixed. So that is coming from product screen.js at line 33. So let's have a look. Okay, actually this is the problem. So actually it is trying to access this particular value before it is even fetched. So for this we can use optional chaining. So we can just have a, so only if the value exists on, okay, only will it make this value work. Okay, if not it will just keep it blank. So let's actually try that, and let's refresh. Okay, so now it actually works. Now let's have a look at the price. Okay, yeah, price is also coming in the right format. Okay, so yeah, now that's not a problem. So sometimes we just need to know how to read such kind of errors, so that we can handle any kind of errors in our application. So that's also a skill which we need to do it. We need to have, right? So yeah, that's it. Everything everything is basically coming from the backend and no more from the front end or from the static file that we have. All right guys, so that's it for this video, and if you have any questions you can just leave me in the comments. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one. Take care.